Greece hides many dangers. A land shaped by the gods, but shattered from within. Blood soaks the fabric of our society, and Hades has grown full. A world of danger lies in your path. Armies gather on the battlefields. Squalls swirl on hostile waters. And snakes lie in the darkness. If you fail, Greece is lost. So are you ready now? The days of heroes are over.
So let's set it up for folks a little bit ahead of time.
All right, so what we're going to do is go off on an adventure on the island of Lesbos. Lesbos is in the northeastern corner of the map. It's late game content, right? So you'll see at the top right-hand corner, there's that 50. That means we're level 50.
Okay.
That's late in the game. And we're going to come across somebody in need of help.
All right. So we're definitely, you know, a mercenary who's maybe feeling themselves a little bit at this point. We're pretty strong, right?
Oh, yeah. We're doing good. We've got the Adressia, our boat.
Okay.
And it should be pretty decked out at this point. And as well as our gear, if you look, he's looking pretty regal there.
Oh, yeah. So you're definitely not starting off looking this way, right?
No, you basically start off with a pair of sandals and your underwear, and then hopefully you get better from there.
Yeah, I think that's one of the coolest things, too, that I've seen about Odyssey is that as you level up, your outfit is going to change, but it's not just cosmetic this time, right?
Oh, no, absolutely not. We have an entire progression system built around, picking up new gear, dismantling it, engraving it, so you can upgrade your gear to make it for bonuses like damage, extra damage, or being impervious to certain other types of damage. And so you'll customize your arms, your chest, your legs, and your helmet with stuff you'll find on the battlefield, stuff you'll find at the end of a quest line. We have entire setups that are like you have to have all 5 pieces in order to be able to unlock these bonuses. The possibilities are endless. The permutations in terms of how many different kinds of looks you could have is ridiculous.
Yeah, and it just adds another hook to keep us playing. In the end, there's now a loot grind in Assassin's Creed.
There's always a little bit more that you could go get.
Yeah.
But
so we're jumping in. We see this mob going on here. What's happening?
Sure, you can see that in the back there. You have that quest giver icon. So this person probably needs a little bit of help, but they're in trouble. So you kind of want to interact with them in order to get their story before doing anything drastic.
Snake, what's going on? We will bring this evil creature to justice.
They're lost in paranoia. They think I sacrificed my Ligia to the creature in the forest.
Hold your forked tongue. This walking curse is in league with the writhing dread. She just looks scared to me.
Please, the creature took Ligia. If I die here, who will save her?
I'll save Ligia and kill any creature that tries to stop me.
What are you saying? She will lead you to the petrified temple and you're doomed.
So we're getting a preview here of all of the dialogue options available.
Yeah. We have a bunch of dialogue options sometimes that are just about getting more information. You want to get to know somebody. You want to find out what their motivations are. You want to find out where they're going to take me. All sorts of normal curiosity questions you would ask somebody you're trying to help out.
Yeah.
And they're not always catastrophic choices where somebody lives and somebody dies. You want to have that range, right?
I love that too because Assassin's Creed has always told such awesome, rich stories and presented so many cool, unique characters. It's nice to be able to inquire more about them if I want to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm a quest director at Ubisoft Quebec, and building these stories that revolve around characters and the kind of troubles they have and how their daily existence affects their lives, basically, and how they could need the help of a mercenary is something that was super interesting to us. It's just what is that nitty-gritty of that person's reality?
Yeah. So we saw that cinematic, that conversation scene. We've now jumped into some combat because it looked like these soldiers were going to execute a helpless woman.
Yeah, exactly. So you're going to interrupt them from doing something very nasty and help the lady at the same time.
Yeah. So we just saw an amazing ability. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Abilities are something that we've really put a lot of work into. We want players to be able to customize their experience, and we want them, when they fight, to be able to be aggressive. So we have an entire tree of abilities that you can unlock that will give you different kind of powers during combat. So you can have more passive things like increased health, but you could also have a lot more aggressive abilities like everybody's seen the Sparta kick at this point, right?
So satisfying.
Amazing. I know, it's so cool. It never gets old. There's the shield break is great as well. There's a bunch of stuff you can invest your ability points in that'll give you bonuses across the board.
So we dispatched of the soldiers.
Yeah, so she can talk. Basically, her lover is in trouble right now.
Yeah, we tease a little something that we know there's a creature in the forest, something called the writhing dread.
The writhing dread, yeah.
But it's a price worth paying.
I polished Charon's drachmi long ago, Mystios. I'm ready.
You know, I don't want to call you forever.
It's
My
I
name's
love these
Greece.
little moments where you're kind of like, hey, I don't even know your name.
Yeah.
Tell me your name. And
I just killed a whole bunch of soldiers for you.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself.
Then let's not disappoint her. Where was she taken?
I love
From our
Alexios'
sanctuary,
voice too.
the
he's
dread
good at
demons
voice
live
acting.
there.
The actress who
And
does
you're
Cassandra does
surprised she was
an
taken by
excellent
a
job
creature.
as well.
It's not
They're both
safe.
amazing. Yeah, we saw that Cassandra trailer. Now we're doing the Alexios gameplay.
Both of them Greek. But,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, the thing I'm noticing too, I've never been to Greece myself. When I picture it, this isn't necessarily what it looks like. What type of environmental diversity does Greece have?
It's amazing. It has snowy mountaintops, like where your feet are sinking into the snow, all the way down to like that tropical paradise type stuff. Like in our E3 demo, what we were showcasing was like we call them biomes, right? So the palm trees and the beautiful, the lush vegetation, that type of thing. And now for this demo, we're moving towards what we've called our autumn biome, or it's a deciduous. I always have trouble pronouncing it, but it's a type of tree biome. And this is what we're kind of showcasing. So you see the colors have shifted a little bit away from the green, more towards the yellow, the red, that type of thing.
Yeah.
The horse is obviously back. This is not Phobos. You just kind of randomly picked him up, but you can call him at any point, anytime.
And Phobos is your own horse.
Yeah. At the beginning of the game, there's a moment where we'll show you a bunch of horses, and we're like, all right, which one is this? The one you're gonna have for the rest of your playthrough.
Oh.
You pick him, and then he'll always come to you.
So it's similar to your eagle, right? Where you have.
Yeah, sure.
Last year we had Senu. This time
We have Icarus.
Icarus.
So Icarus is partnered up with Alexios. We do go into it in the story about how that works, but we haven't been spoiling it just yet.
Yeah. So we follow this woman, Brees, into what looks like this village or town that looks like it's been through some troubled times.
Yeah, she has a little love nest there with her partner, but if you look in the background, you can see things are just getting really dark and
This place
gritty.
is ours. Lygia's
It's
and
very
mine.
foreboding.
Yeah.
A forbidden place for forbidden love.
Not much of a love nest. I've seen more romantic funerals.
I found scraps of her clothes leading to the riding dread's lair. Please.
That's
we
not a
need to
direction
hurry.
I would want to go in personally.
No. I think
Time
I
to
would
find Lygia.
turn away
Lead
from
the
something
way.
called the
Yeah.
Writhing Dread.
It's funny because there's a little bit further away. You're not going to walk into it with your horse, but if you do, there's a point where your horse just nopes out. This place is so creepy. I'm not going in there.
Sometimes animals are smarter than humans. So we saw there too that there's always something worth exploring, worth seeing. That you never know where you're going to find some hidden treasure in this
The world is just filled to the brim. There are, I think it's over 600 points of interest. So we call them points of interest. They're places in the world that have a certain gameplay challenge and a gameplay reward. So it may be just taking out a few bandits in order for a couple of bucks, or it could be something like climbing a statue, getting that reach high point, and being able to fast travel. I mean, there are so many in the world. It's really impressive.
And you're going to make me clear them all out.
Hey, you know
'Cause
what?
that's the kind of player I am. I'm obsessive.
I am so OCD about that type of stuff. When I play these types of games, I am absolutely the same. I have to have everything. I have to have 100%. I have to make sure that I have touched and prodded every little thing in the game.
Oh yeah, that was one of my favorite parts of basically every Assassin's Creed, but especially Origins, just going in and clearing out all the map because there's so many awesome little stories hidden throughout the world.
That's the thing with the points of interest, right? They've all been modeled around like, oh, sometimes they're little myths, sometimes they're stories, sometimes they're just like, oh, what is a hairdresser in ancient Greece do type thing. And there's always that little connection into the world, right? It's not just free gameplay for the sake of gameplay. It's always like, oh, how does this actually tie into ancient Greece?
Yeah. So we see here we're wandering into what looks like a fairly desolate place.
Yeah, this is the layer of the writhing dread.
Yeah.
This is all the. This is a huge collaboration. Like the actual island of Lesbos is built by a collaboration between the Singapore and the Chengdu studio from China.
What is this place?
And you'll see a little bit further the gameplay that we've actually built inside this temple comes from Romania. And we at the Quebec City studio who are kind of overseeing all this kind of give the directions, make sure that everybody's still going in the right directions.
Yeah.
It's a huge collaborative effort. Now this is clear. I mean, this basically here gives it away.
Yeah,
Where we're
we have
going,
a
where we're headed.
strong tease of where we're going.
It destroys all living things.
Some very lifelike statues, I'll say that.
And leaving them frozen in fear for all eternity.
I love too just the sense of even the air is still here, right? That there's these flecks
Like
just
the
floating,
ash
yeah.
kind of floating in, like some
Absolutely.
things don't live here, they die here.
Yes.
I had at the beginning of this, like a couple of years ago when we were talking about Medusa and what did we want to do with them, I always had, in my vision of things, I always had this guy would come down from the village into Medusa's lair during the night and grab one of those poor soldiers who was frozen, bring him back in his cart, take it back and say, hey, look what I sculpted during the night, and try to get some money out. The ideal never got in the game, but I was.
It makes you think twice about those hyper-realistic sculptures.
Yeah, it was, oh god.
Yeah.
I was just thought it was that missed opportunity there.
Yeah.
We need to get inside, but I see no openings, and the walls are too smooth.
So we were talking a bit earlier. I got a background in architecture, and I got to say, this doesn't really look like Greek architecture to me.
This this comes out of, I'm going to say, the lore, right?
Yeah.
Just because there is a huge part of the Assassin's Creed universe that is unique to it, that whole kind of sci-fi aspect.
Yeah.
And I think I've already said too much.
Oh, yes.
This is my fault.
But, we are continuing Layla's story in the present day inside of Odyssey.
Then you'd both be
And
trapped
this,
inside.
and I'm not going to tell you how, is tied into that.
Together.
Ah, okay. So
You
we
were
won't
searching
reveal
for
too much.
No.
Gift.
We've already spoiled so much stuff, but it's great because there's so much content in the game that there's still tons of stuff left.
Oh no,
to
you
spoil.
can't spoil this game.
Yeah.
There's too many possible paths and routes you can take.
People trained here long ago.
You mentioned too, this is a continuation of Layla's story when we saw her, in Assassin's Creed Origins. The thing I love about this game is that it is simultaneously a prequel and a sequel. Right? That you're continuing Layla's story,
It is the
but doing it 400 years before.
It's the ultimate prequel, right?
Yeah.
It's before even the existence of the Assassins and the Templars, as they've been come to know. And I was talking to somebody on the floor earlier. I was like, well, you have to look at it. It's kind of like the NFL, right? So the NFL exists. It's got all its teams. People play football. But did people play football before the NFL? Well, of course they did.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing. Like philosophies outlast the names of organizations. You know what I mean?
I love that. That's a really great analogy.
Did you see the creature yourself?
No, but only the riding dread would be strong enough to take Lygia. She's too fierce. And too stubborn.
You said Lygia knew how to get into the lair. Where exactly is the key?
The daughters of Artemis hide their most prized possessions in a cave.
So we have this idea that this creature has taken Lygia, that she's behind this door, and we need to go save her, but we can't get through it.
We have this is one of the most amazing things for me that happened during production was this specific key. So you need a disc. The historian's gonna kill me because I can't remember the name of it, but it actually exists. It's something that they have in a museum, and it actually predates our story by something like 10 or 12,000 years.
Wow.
It's this artifact that they found with engravings that they can't decipher, and we were able to integrate it into the game and pose it as this key to the layer of I'm going to say the writhing dread.
Yes.
Right?
So yeah, we got sort of our setup here that we need the key, and now we're back on our ship, the Adrestia. Are we going to find the key?
So we're going to a neighboring island, which is just a little bit west of Lesbos, a small island called Chios, where in theory the key is located. The great thing about Chios is that it's populated mostly by what we call a micro-faction. So I'm going to take a couple steps back. We have the two main factions of the game, right? The Spartans and the Athenians constantly vying for control of territory. But inside, I mean, they aren't the only ones who live here, right? We have other factions that are alive inside our world. We have the Daughters of Artemis that we're going to meet in just a few moments. They're a group of hunters and huntresses who are focused on nature. We have the Followers of Artemis, these kind of cult-like zealots they're quite aggressive and they're very mean. They're fun to kill. We have the Cult of Cosmos that we're going to hunt down. Their soldiers roam the world as well, and bandits as well. So the island of Chios that we're going to is really populated by these Daughters of Artemis, who happen to also be kind of your gateway to the legendary animals. So there are animals all over the world, but a few of them are special, shall we say?
Yeah.
So hunting them down and bringing them back is something that's another part of the story, completely optional, I might add, but that you can go ahead and do in the world.
Yeah, I think what we're also seeing some ship sailing here. The water is absolutely gorgeous. I love these zoomed out shots.
It's crazy, isn't it? Oh my God, the team is so proud of what they've accomplished with it.
Oh, they should be, yeah. The thing I love about the Daughters of Artemis too is that it kind of frames that this is a world that's still very much guided by religion and belief in these deities. Artemis obviously being a Greek deity.
This period has people believing all sorts of things. Some don't believe in deities at all. Some believe in the diversity of beliefs is really impressive. And even inside specific beliefs, they'll have different stories for different deities. And it's actually really difficult to keep track of, but it makes it super fun to tie them into the quests. So you talk to somebody whose personal beliefs are about this particular god, and you can weave a whole story just about him or her and their beliefs and how they affect their lives. It's a tremendous amount of fun.
Yeah. So we're seeing a lot of blue-sailed ships here. Who are these? So
the blue sails represent the Athenians. So Chios right now is controlled by Athens, I'm assuming, because usually the blue ships mean that are allowed to swim there, to sail there when you control the nation. But so Spartans have their ships too that protect their territories.
Yeah.
We also on the waters we also have merchant ships and pirate ships. If you start shooting on merchant ships, well then you'll gain the attention of mercenaries who'll come after you and punish you for being a very naughty Spartan.
Yeah, because obviously in the story you're a mercenary yourself, but you also can get tracked down by mercenaries.
The mercenary system is a huge system inside the game, and it's basically law enforcement, right? So you will commit an act, a bad act, I would have to say, like you can kill somebody in front of other people, kill a civilian, maybe steal something.
You're not going to get desynchronized this time.
No,
around.
You don't get desynchronized. People get mad at you.
Yeah.
They get mad at you. They put money on your head, and they go, "Oh, all right, this guy just he killed my 3 goats, and then he ransacked my treasure or whatever." So now, so a mercenary inside the world is going to grab that bounty. He's going to come after you. And we actually have a ladder system where these mercenaries exist in the world at all times. They're not just they don't spawn when they need to be spawned. They're always there, and they come hunting after you. So you can either pay for your bounty, so you can directly pay money to the sponsor. It's kind of like a hush money type thing.
Yeah.
Or you can do the head-to-head with that mercenary, and sometimes they're going to be pretty powerful. But when they're powerful and the challenge is there, then the rewards are there too.
Yeah. And for the first time too, that killing the people that are coming after you isn't your only option, right?
No, not always. The mercenaries make it really tough to talk to them.
Okay.
There are a lot of instances in the game where, you can, as opposed to, taking the violent method, and personally as a gamer, this is what I've always tried to do, is just is there a way we can talk this out?
Yeah.
Sure, I'll give you a couple of bucks if maybe we can negotiate, or maybe I'll help you out. I'll find something that your daughter needs or whatever, and then we can go our own separate ways without any bloodshed. For me, as a gamer, those are the moments that I like the best.
Yeah.
So you're coming up. See, this is a hunter's camp right here, and the key is hidden in the back. We just saw just a few minutes ago. The place is packed. and they're not going to take very kindly to you coming in there and stealing their stuff.
Yeah. So we just saw there that we scouted out with Icarus.
Yeah.
And now we waited until nighttime to attack this camp.
Yeah. So it makes more sense, right, to attack stealthily during the night.
Oh yeah.
So meditation allows you to wait half the day and just switch it over. So we have we have an entire ability tree that's dedicated just to being an assassin. So this is where you can put ability points to do more damage when you sneak up behind somebody, or when you get to those last tiers of skills, you can actually be you can purchase like the chameleon skill, which allows you to be invisible for a short time. There's a lot of stuff that caters specifically to this type of gameplay.
Yeah. So yeah,
that was an amazing ability. I love that one.
Yeah.
You throw your spear and you just come right up to it and pull it out of the person, and you're moving. You can move through the environment by using this ability. It's amazing.
Yeah, that is so cool. And we saw in the lower left-hand corner there. What are those exactly? Are those the abilities we have?
So you have so many abilities that you can't use them all at once. You can only use 4 at a time. So you map them to the face buttons, and then you can hold left bumper and you hit your face buttons depending on which one you want to call.
And are these able to be used endlessly? How do you mitigate?
You'll see at the bottom of the screen, there's the adrenaline meter. So we were talking about fighting earlier. We put the players in a situation where they'll tend to be more aggressive, right? We give them reasons to attack. Those attacks will generate adrenaline and make them allow them to spend the adrenaline to use their abilities. So it's like this vicious loop of aggression, where the more I'm aggressive, the more I have adrenaline, the more I use my abilities, the more I'm making adrenaline, etc., etc. That's what we were going for. Just in terms of the overall feeling of combat for Odyssey, we wanted to make sure that you were the instigator.
Yeah, there's the awesome loop of, okay, I need to fight so I can build up the adrenaline, so I can use an ability, and then sort of go back and forth between your strategies.
Yeah, and you get that Sparta kick out.
Oh god. It's funny too. I know that the geographic topography of Greece adds a lot of verticality to this game.
Yes.
Which makes it so satisfying to Spartan kick people off of cliffs.
There are so many places where you can do it, and when you get it just right, I'm telling you, there's no feeling like it. The first time, it must have been a couple of years ago when I joined the team, and I finally got to start playing around with this, and I got my first Spartan kick right off a cliff. It's so you'll scream out loud.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane.
So we've acquired the key,
Yeah.
and we're now returning to Greece in this petrified forest.
Exactly, and we're going to open that door and find out what's hiding behind it. But you can't forget that Breeze is there because the love of her life is in trouble.
Oh yes.
Exactly. The mercenary carried this spear, which she claims killed the Rhine Dread.
No, the creature took Lydia.
So we only we saw one path of getting into this temple, going to the Daughters of Artemis and acquiring this key, but that's not the only way that we could have gone about this quest, right?
I think, to pick up the disc, you had to go through the camp.
Okay,
Yeah.
you have to go through, but I know there's an option to talk to someone maybe who claims to have defeated
you know what?
the Red.
I didn't play it that way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've always played it that way.
No, that's so funny. No, it's great because I played it both ways. I wanted to investigate.
How did you play it?
So you're presented this option of hey, there's this mercenary who claims to have killed the Writhing Dread. Go talk to him, see what how he did it, what's going on. If he really killed it, why is it still taking people? And so you go talk to him. I don't want to spoil what happens, but it's one way to go about it. And then if you want to do both, you can still you can talk to him. You can go to the Daughters of Artemis. You could do it in any order you wanted.
I see. I'm going to need that second playthrough because just in terms of quests in the game, I think we went past 300.
Wow.
There are and there's so much content. I'd be lying if I told you that I was able to play every version of every quest that's in the game. There aren't enough hours in the day.
Yeah, this is just one of those quests, and we already see how much variability it has.
Yeah.
So we're inside of this petrified temple now, finally.
Oh yeah, that's creepy stuff.
Oh yeah, gosh. I see why the horse doesn't want to come in.
The floating ash gets me every time. It's just ugh.
Oh yeah. I mean, it Yeah, we were speaking about environmental diversity before. This feels like unlike anything that we've seen thus far.
This is not something that we're going to be reusing anywhere else. I mean, this is really unique to this portion of the game. It's all handcrafted, it's all custom made. And the funny thing is, it's optional. You don't even have to do this. It's endgame content, and it's not recycled. It's all unique stuff. There's no game over to this game. It's just, It just keeps going. It just always keeps going.
And this is something that you could do even after you finished a main campaign.
Oh yeah, you can jump into this quest line at any time you want, given that you have the right level. But there she is.
Oh, here we go.
There she is.
The writhing dread.
If you hadn't figured it out yet, it's Medusa.
Why does it always have to be snakes, right?
It's a great. Boy,
Oof.
that's gonna leave a mark. Yeah, the entire fight with Medusa was built by the Bucharest studio.
Wow, shout out to Ubisoft Bucharest.
Yeah, absolutely, they did a fantastic job.
So, walk us through this fight a little bit. What sort of abilities does Medusa have? It looks like she's trying to stare her gaze down at us.
So she has the classic gaze, right? If you stay in it too long, you'll turn. You can see the character slowing down right now. She also has the ability to call the souls that she's already. One of the funny things is you'll see that when she does call the additional soldiers, they all have names. Right?
Oh, right.
So these are all like soldiers that came into her lair and were I was gonna say eaten up, but we're like destroyed by her. But they still carry their names when they come attack you, playing her bidding. Yeah, and she has these great area of effects that you have to dodge out of the way as well.
Yeah.
And then find that one opportunity when she gives you that opening.
So here we're using an adrenaline attack, is that it? Or what is this exactly?
That's probably just additional damage. Yeah, she's not going to let you do that for long.
You can see, I mean, we've put quite a few hits on her already, and she's still got quite a bit of health left.
Yeah, yeah. She's absolutely one of the toughest fights in the game. Like it is end content.
Yeah.
We don't want this to be easy anyway, right?
No, you're not doing this as a level 1 Spartan mercenary,
absolutely
in sandals and rags. Oof.
Yeah,
laid down some good damage there.
It teleports away.
So yeah,
Calling those soldiers. See, those are the ones. They all have their own names.
Oh gosh.
I thought that was a great touch.
Stephanos the Builder.
Yeah. Boy.
Yeah, so yeah, you gotta.
Always on the verge of turning to stone there.
I gotta say, that looks like a very useful ability though.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And he's got it tuned way up high. Because each of the abilities that we have has different levels that you can keep investing in, keep making sure that it gets more and more damage, more and more powerful. He is clearly maxed out.
Yeah, so not only can you unlock the ability, you can level it up.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And these abilities all come from one of the weapons he's got, right? Which is the.
No, the abilities are independent from the weapons, but the weapons will give you the opportunities to engrave them and do additional damage as well.
Okay.
So depending on whatever, if you want to use a sword, a dagger, a heavy weapon, a blunt weapon, whatever, all of those can be upgraded and they can be engraved. So like if you want to do fire damage with your giant hammer, then you can do that and you can focus on getting that type of damage.
So we just saw it there again. He's. Alexios holds up a spear, right? What spear is that?
So the spear is a connection to the first civilization. It is the spear of Leonidas.
Okay.
It belonged to his grandfather who fought the Battle of 300. I'm not going to say any more about that.
Okay.
And it is now in your possession. And it does give him combat powers that a normal man might not have.
Okay. That's how you get those area of effect.
Yeah, exactly. The area effect, the spear is the key to everything. There, you can, depending on if you go on, if you fall into the cultist hunting. So we have an entire organization of conspiracy theorists that you can hunt down, and they each carry a little shard that you can accumulate and then bring to a forge and upgrade the actual spear itself, so it does more damage and it does, and it's just more powerful.
Very cool.
Yep.
We're getting to the end of this fight.
Oh yeah,
looks like.
Ooh, that looked painful.
Yeah, maybe not. Oh, so we just, it looks like Alexios just used another ability to heal himself up a little bit.
Oh yeah, that one, it becomes essential when you're doing high damage stuff like this. The player is actually doing a really good job. That combo is amazing.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit of a second wind in a tough fight like this.
One more hit and she's gone.
Yeah, as we've been watching this too, I'm just like appreciating how much you have to navigate the space while you're fighting off these stone soldiers attacking you while using the columns to avoid her gaze.
Yeah, they're staples of Assassin's Creed. You can't do just fight, you can't do just navigation. It's always better when you can mix everything up together.
So yeah, we did it.
Throwing as many challenges as you can to the player is always the best. And here's I was surprised that we actually made this public, but I really was. This type of stuff we keep secret for people they can discover on their own. But if you know the lore, if you know the license, that is something special.
So yeah, as always, Assassin's Creed's got some pieces of Eden in the background.
Yeah, we're not neglecting that.
Yeah, the spear is not the only thing. Which, helps explain a little bit of these mythological figures and beings.
Absolutely. Everything that we do has to be based in a rational world. It has to be based, it makes sense inside of the lore of the universe that we build. We don't just throw around stuff because it's cool. It has to make sense. So yeah, the mythical creature.
Yes, that's Medusa. And no, you can't romance her. She's a little too focused on growing her statue collection, and she thinks you'd be a perfect addition. Good thing you're the baddest fighter in all of Greece by the time you meet her, because who wants to end their odyssey encased in stone? Come on, walk it off, because that's just the start of what she can do. She'll keep you guessing by zipping around her lair at superhuman speeds, tripping you up with energy blasts from the sky, and summoning stone warriors while protected by a force field. And if that doesn't work, she's also real good at just stabbing you. Medusa and her monstrous ilk aren't something you'll just stumble into like a bear in a cave. These fights are reserved for high-level players, and they go far beyond what you'll face while wandering the countryside or sailing the Mediterranean. Finding them takes more legwork than just tracking down a creature's lair and putting a spear through its face, and you'll probably have to go through some misguided human foes before you even get there. For example, in Medusa's case, the quest begins in Erissos, a little village on the island of Lesbos, where an angry mob is getting ready to push a woman off a cliff.
She must face justice.
The villagers are convinced the woman, whose name is Brice, sacrificed her lover, Legia, to something called the Writhing Dread. The mob wants an execution, not justice, so right away we're showing them who's boss by kicking a few soldiers off the cliff. Brice's innocence doesn't mean the monster isn't real, of course. Legia's trail leads away from the village and into the heart of a twisting, petrified forest filled with eerily lifelike statues. And snakes. So many snakes. At the heart of it all is, yep, that's a first civilization ruin, all right. Artifacts left behind by humanity's hyper-advanced precursors are always causing supernatural trouble in Assassin's Creed, meaning the Writhing Dread is likely something they left behind. Getting inside the temple takes a little doing, though. The key is hidden in a village of warrior women on the nearby island of Chios, and before you head over there, you might want to stop and talk to a retired mercenary who claims to have vanquished the creature before. In keeping with Odyssey's new navigation system, you'll be given a few clues to where they are, but actually finding them takes some exploration. Every step of this journey has the potential to explode into conflict. The mercenary won't reveal anything too useful or give up his Gorgon-slaying spear without a fight, and the warrior women turn out to be extremely hostile to outsiders. They also shoot fire arrows that can annihilate your health in seconds, even if your level is maxed out. And when you combine that with their pet wolves and bears, a stealthy approach will probably get better results than a head-on assault. On the way to either destination, you might find yourself testing your luck in the trap-filled Tomb of Orpheus, or daring to investigate why a boat that sits abandoned in a bay is surrounded by blood. Oh, it's this guy. You could burn a few storehouses to destabilize the local tyrant, hunt deer in the hills, indulge in a little piracy, or cross swords with some masked creeps in a cave. The open world of Odyssey is full of cool discoveries, beautiful vistas, and secret treasures, so taking the long route can be rewarding. Also, given that this demo was with a level 50 character, we had a chance to try out high-end abilities like Ghost Arrows, which can go through solid objects to land perfect headshots, and how did we ever survive without them? Once it's time to venture into the heart of the mystery and confront the Queen of Snakes, you'll find a powerful foe who wants nothing more than to turn you into another statue for her collection. Keep clear of her laser-like stone gaze, and you might survive long enough to send Medusa to Hades. You can start on the path to challenging Medusa, along with just about every mercenary and villain in ancient Greece, on October 5th when Assassin's Creed Odyssey launches on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. To find out more, subscribe to this channel and visit us at news.ubisoft.com.
Hi, I'm Scott Phillips, Game Director on Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Today I'm excited to give you a sneak peek at 3 years of hard work from the Ubisoft Quebec team, and our transformation into a full-blown RPG with choice at the center of everything. In Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you will play a mercenary who embarks on an epic odyssey to reunite their family and confront the ones who tore it apart. Your ship, the Adrestia, will be your home base and its crew like family as you seek adventure sailing the Aegean seas and exploring the lands of 5th century BC ancient Greece. And for the first time ever, you will choose to play as either a male or female hero, Alexios or Cassandra. Both heroes will share the same story and gameplay possibilities. Today, we're going to play as Cassandra as she arrives at the beautiful Greek island of Mykonos. Mykonos represents just one of 8 different biomes of ancient Greece, each with their own style, stories, and adventures to discover. In Assassin's Creed Odyssey, choice is key, and it's why we've introduced interactive dialogues.
Ah, Mykonos Island, built from the corpses of giants slain by the legendary Iraklis.
Read me the note again.
Eagle-bearing Mystios. That's you. We are a small but fierce group of rebels who'd pay you handsomely to help us overthrow our Athenian oppressors. A warrior named Diocles fights with them. None who face him survive. Please, Mystios, our people are dying. Signed, Kira.
What did your informant tell you?
Dialogues like these allow the player to roleplay and impact the characters, world, and ultimately the outcomes of their adventures.
There's also word of Spartans landing on Mykonos.
So, I'm here to find Kira, who wants me to kill Diocles.
An Athenian ally.
Who's at war with Sparta.
And don't forget the bounty!
Business as usual, then.
Gods protect you, Cassandra.
Thanks, Varnavas. But they'll be too busy protecting Diocles from me.
We've been spotted! Go! I'll handle it!
We've just been spotted by a mercenary hunting the bounty on Cassandra's head. Mercenaries are powerful enemies hired to hunt you down. Odyssey takes place during the Peloponnesian War, a time when the 2 powerhouses of Sparta and Athens are fighting for control of all Greece. Spartans and Athenians both use mercenaries to do their dirty work, but they also have armies of their own, as long as they remain strong.
Mercenary. This can't be good.
We've crossed paths with another mercenary hunting Cassandra. By killing mercenaries such as Malios, you can ultimately become the most famous and fearsome mercenary of ancient Greece. Just one of the many side stories of Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
You want my head? Come and take it!
Combat in Assassin's Creed Odyssey is focused on offense and quick movement. Instead of blocking, you will be parrying and dodging attacks to create openings to use your special abilities. These special abilities are devastating, thanks to the first civilization artifact that Cassandra wields, the broken spear of Leonidas. Creating a full-blown RPG was our goal from day one. Weapon, gear, and ability choice are key parts of that. Your gear is divided in 5 parts. Each item comes with its own stats and rarity, as well as perks that can be tailored to your playstyle. When leveling up, dozens of special abilities, each with multiple upgrades, become available. Once you've purchased a new ability, you choose where it's mapped on the controller, creating your own loadout. Choice in abilities, choice in weapons, and choice in gear will allow every player to have their own unique loadout and playstyle. Assassin's Creed Odyssey will constantly entice players with adventure across hundreds of quests, locations, as well as dynamic events.
Varnavas was right. Spartans have made themselves right at home.
And in those adventures, for the first time ever, you will be able to lie, betray, or roleplay the hero. It's all up to you and how you choose to play.
I'm looking for Kira.
What do you want with her?
The mercenary who bears the eagle of Zeus. You got my message.
It said something about paying me handsomely.
Huh. Mercenaries.
Athenians have enslaved our people for too long. Help us free Mykonos from their grasp, and you'll have more drachmi than you can carry.
I'm here to kill Diocles, not go to war.
Which is why I sent word of our rebellion to you and Sparta.
My men are ferocious in a ground assault, but we're outnumbered.
And Diocles fights with the fury of Ares.
Join us in battle. If you're half the warrior Kira says you are, we'll grind these Athenians into dust.
All right, Spartan. I'll fight with you. But Diocles is mine.
To battle then.
Cassandra has agreed to help the rebels in a conquest battle. These conquest battles pit hundreds of soldiers against each other and can take place with or without the player's help when a nation becomes weak. The outcome of these battles, as well as your choices in the game, will have dramatic impacts and shape the future of Greece. We found the Athenian hero Diocles. Combat in Odyssey is fueled by adrenaline. Adrenaline is earned by dodging, parrying, and landing hits on enemies. When the player has enough adrenaline, it can be unleashed in devastating special ability attacks, like Sparta Kick. But your enemies have abilities of their own and will challenge you like never before.
Your life ends today!
With Diocles dead, Mykonos Island will now be controlled by the Spartans. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this sneak peek at the epic adventure of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, coming October 5th.
Can a child save us all if he's sentenced to die? Tell me, Nikolaos. Tell me before you let our son go.
Where we begin does not define who we will become. Before you, I see a path. Built by friendship and family, love and loss, war and bloodshed.
Were you able to resolve the situation without bloodshed?
The rebel had guards. I relieved them.
Interesting. You thought the life of a thief and a murderer was worth more than that of soldiers doing their duty.
I wasn't even thinking about him, to be honest.
And what of the rebel?
He should be halfway to Mykonos by now.
Oh, really? You let that lunatic run loose? Are you sure that was wise?
I'm not sure approaching you was wise.
Our choices are like ripples on water. They seem tiny and insignificant at the beginning, but they can become devastating tidal waves by the time they run their course.
Leonida's spear.
You're old enough now. My father's spear holds a certain burden, but you're ready. Think of Leonidas. He had great courage, and he made a great sacrifice. You share in his blood and the strength he possessed.
For the past 3 years, the team at Ubisoft Quebec has embarked on their own epic voyage, creating the world of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. As their journey nears its end, we sat down with members of the development team to discuss recreating the classical settings of ancient Greece, engaging in all-out army warfare, arming players with a first civilization artifact, and for the first time in the series, putting player choice at the forefront of Assassin's Creed.
Odyssey is the second step in the transformation of Assassin's Creed into a full-blown RPG.
So the big themes of Assassin's Creed Odyssey are the big themes of Assassin's Creed, the franchise. Freedom versus order, that first civilization, that mystery of where we came from. Since we're the oldest Assassin's Creed has ever been in time period, we're able to really explore those, and I think it'll be a super exciting experience for players. Choice was absolutely one of the first things that we started thinking about and we wanted in the game. Not just in the dialogue system, obviously, but within the structure of the game.
Especially being able to choose your character. So this is what's going to feel really, really different for players this year.
So there is a base storyline that is consistent, that there are a lot of big choices in it, but there's also these small stories that you don't know where they're going to lead. And, you know, sometimes it leads in romance, sometimes it's in a bloodbath, and so, you know, whatever. So and sometimes in a charming relationship with a new friend.
The things you make decisions about within quests are going to have an impact later on.
You were mine, and Kira took you from me.
Greece is about conversations. We wanted to leverage that as a way to interact with history. So if I'm interacting with a historical character, I want to be able to ask questions. I want to be able to know who he is.
What brings you to Thelos?
We cannot have a conversation with Socrates and make players feel that they are really reliving history without choice.
Am I gonna save this guy? Am I gonna let him die? So asking myself questions as a player that are very deep and that could impact the choices, yes, at the end.
What exactly is justice?
I think it's interesting to build relationships that are not just stopping at a quest. That sense of interest, you know, like that sense of seduction, that sense of playfulness with it as well.
Very poetic for someone covered in blood. I like it.
It's not everybody that can be seduced in the game, you know, so, but there are occasions where you will meet people that, you know, like when the little heart appears, it's like, oh, I don't know, that dude or that girl, you know, what am I going to do? So
I also found this.
But we also have friendships that gets built over time in the game.
Two sides of the same coin.
Since Assassin's Creed Odyssey takes place during the Peloponnesian War, you better believe you're going to get to partake in massive battles between hundreds of Athenian and Spartan soldiers.
We knew we needed to recreate that and to give the player that opportunity to engage in these huge battles with hundreds of soldiers on each side. And you're going to use every ability you have, every ounce of strength and adrenaline that you can muster to face off against these huge battles. And then once you complete them, you're going to get great rewards out of it, as well as changing who owns that area of the world. So it's not just this huge battle, but it's also consequences within the world itself. The special abilities are a way of expanding what abilities have always been, which is a way to more customize your playstyle. For us, we push it even farther because we use the broken Spear of Leonidas as that access to even bigger and better abilities. So the Spear of Leonidas is Leonidas' spear, obviously, but it's also a first civilization artifact. In the past, you've maybe had the Apple of Eden for a little bit. We give this to you for the entire game, and you upgrade it, you make it better. You get to get more abilities because of it and because of its connection to you, which we're going to develop throughout the story. Being 2,500 years ago, the oldest we've ever gone in Assassin's Creed, to where that connection to the first civilization is the strongest it's ever been in the franchise.
I think choosing the Peloponnesian War as a backdrop was an excellent choice. It's a crucial moment in history who deeply impact our civilization today. It's also an opposition between democracy and tyranny. Everything is interconnected in ancient Greece. Politics, religion, and social behavior, it's all connected.
And at the same time, when you go visit Greece, none of it is still standing, or most of it is, not there. So you have to go do the research and bring that back alive.
In fact, that's something we've learned throughout our research, that they find like color pigment on statues and temples. So using that knowledge to our advantage, which was a art direction blessing, kind of, because we could add colors on almost all man-made structures. So that's why if you play the game, you'll see there's tons of color on almost everything. We have an expert in the studio with the substance designer, which did an amazing job reproducing all those marbles, gold and trims, mosaic on the floor, fresco on the walls. That truly gives something, unexpected about what antiquity could have looked like, that you don't even see in movies because they don't have the time to do it. When you think of Greece, what do you think first? It's probably the blue sky and the blue water. Well, for us, the water was like a main character. We wanted to have like the wave crashing on the shoreline with the volumetric foam also. Like that's probably the first within the Ubisoft game to have a volumetric foam.
It's a good thing that foam is so detailed, because you'll be making quite a bit of it as you stir things up in Odyssey's naval warfare.
We're making the sea really alive by bringing back Naval. We have sharks, whales, it's raw, it's up close. You can cleave ships in two, put other ships on fire. It brings that whole dynamic on the sea.
Because we wanted the ship to be your home. It is your home base. It's where you meet Barnabas, who's your captain and your good friend. As you add people to the ship, you can recruit people from the world to join your ship and travel with you.
I met this character, I helped him, I recruited him. Oh, he's there. Who has that? If you took a snapshot of your boat and showed your crew, I won't have the same crew as you. Nobody here will have the same crew.
You're going to find them in quests. They're going to be people that you talk to, and you can ask them to join you on your ship. And then the other way that you're going to get them is to recruit from your enemies, from mercenaries, from cool-looking characters that you might see in the world, or people that have really good stats. Making it not just about, okay, here's a bunch of enemies in front of me, I need to wipe them all out. It was more of, okay, here's a bunch of guys. Ooh, that guy's really interesting. I'm going to go get him.
And one of the things that I like the most about what we've done is that we really take a step back and put it in the hands of the player. Well, for me, this team that I have now at Ubisoft Quebec, and we've been growing this team since 2005 to be, and this is our ultimate goal, was to build a game like Odyssey.
The word Odyssey for our game really comes out as the thing, like you'll be going on an epic journey, and that's what we wanted. You from a mercenary to a Greek legend, the Greek hero, that's what Assassin's Creed Odyssey is all about, so.
In our setting of ancient Greece, 431 BC, the Peloponnesian War is raging. So every little city-state has its own army, and they're allied with either Sparta or Athens. Those are the major superpowers of the time.
But at first, the Peloponnesian War took place during the 5th century, which is a crucial moment in history for our civilization. Because as Thucydides says, it was the most important conflict in antiquity between the rise of a democracy and the ancestral system of the tyranny and the oligarchy. But also plenty other opposition between tradition and modernity, religion and science.
That time period is still relevant for us today because we we still embrace a lot of those philosophies. We still quite have the same questions that they were thinking about back then. So it was a match made in heaven for an Assassin's Creed game in explored history.
So the landscape of Greece is magnificent. We went to visit, and the epic vistas that it allowed us to create were something that we really wanted to concentrate on recreating in the world.
Greece is made out of 85% of mountains, so it's a very mountainous landscape, which is great, by the way, because it's creating tons of layering. So we could play with fogs and mist, so to create a very unique ambience.
It also plays with the sensation of the Odyssey as well, because there's always the sensation of what's beyond the next mountain range. What am I going to get when I go there? You always get a really cool view as you come over the hill and you see the next region lay out in front of you. That really reinforces the sense of you being on your own Odyssey.
For us, Greece needed to be colorful and very lush, because that's what most people have in mind when they think of that amazing land. We pushed saturation and colors quite a lot in our game, even though we had different biomes also in it. So
we knew that this world was going to be huge, so it was super important to make sure that we kept it interesting for the player. So as they go from region to region, it's not always just the typical picture of Greece. We saw snow-capped mountains and we saw lush spring valleys and things, so we wanted to really recapture that and make sure that we gave that to the player when they went on their journey.
Reconstructing ancient Greece was quite a challenge. For some cities, it was harder to find some specific data. For example, on Mykonos, nothing is remained. So it was quite hard to reproduce exactly the city as it was during antique time.
The big challenge was the chaos that the Greeks used to build their cities. There was no urban planning as we know it today, so we needed to try and embrace that chaos.
We tried to capture the importance of mythology for the ancient Greeks. The mythology is the integral part of their society, their social behavior, their belief, their religious tradition. Mythology also inspired them in their art, in their decoration of their temple. Also, mythology was used during that time period as a political propaganda.
So again, it comes down to a lot of research and working very closely with the historians to make sure that the actions and the behaviors of what people are doing in the world is credible to our time period. So the meteorite system is still present, people still live their own lives, they have their own schedule.
We were really lucky that our historical characters had quite a bit of information about them. You know, you have Plato's accounts of Socrates and who Socrates was and how he would infuriate people with the amount of questions he asked. And then we looked at historical documentation and the different myths and legends and the stories to help us craft the fictional characters and who we knew we wanted to represent, who we knew we couldn't leave out, and craft their personalities based on that.
I'll do my best with what you've told me. Good luck.
The heroes of the past, the legends, the myths, the philosophers, it is an amazing cultural setting to explore.
Everywhere in the world, at any point, you can use your ship and go in the water, you can swim, dive, you can go on land, come back. It's always there, it's always on the map.
The game is called Odyssey, and of course we're modeling ourselves on the voyage of Odysseus, and you're exploring the Aegean Sea. It doesn't take place at the same time, but it's the same experience that we're trying to give to the player. And Naval is a huge important part of that.
Also, the map is huge, I mean, really big. The sea needs to be seamless because this time it's open everywhere around you. So we had to do a lot of tech on that, making sure that the shorelines where you could see like the waves coming and dying on the beaches. You have a lot of big waves when you go far away in the ocean. We also make sure that you see all those kind of fishes and stuff like that you can see from your ship and when you're swimming.
The naval combat in Odyssey is something more fast-paced, more close range. It's more intense than ever. The fact that we have people shooting javelins and arrows make us put the ship closer together so you can see the action.
What we discovered in the end was that mobility was a key factor of making a fun experience for the player. So in fact, the boat has a very high acceleration. You're able to turn really fast, you're able to move really fast. You may see a boat about to ram you, And then like within a couple seconds you can sort of dodge out of the way because of the mobility of the ship.
Some ships were shooting fire ammunition to burn the other ship. The most important tactic was the ramming and the cleavings.
Yeah, and of course cleaving a ship is advantageous to the player because it's going to give them more life, more resources. So you're always looking for that opportunity to cleave a ship, not only for the spectacular nature of it, but also it's as a gameplay, it benefits the player.
During those times, the ship was able to board and kill the remaining crew.
And after that, loot the treasure on the ship because there's a bunch of chests. The bigger the ship is, the bigger the rewards are. So every time you sunk a ship, in fact, there's like chests that are being released in the ocean. You can dive and try to hunt them. It's pretty interesting. And if you go too far in the water, you might encounter some sharks also, so it's pretty hard to kill.
There's definitely going to be some unique ships on the water, some unique challenges. When you first encounter these ships, if you're a low level, you're going to learn to run away quickly.
As you get stronger, your ship is going to get stronger. But beyond that, there's upgrades that you're going to need to apply to your ship. So upgrading the arrows, the javelins, how much ramming damage it can do, how many lieutenants you can have on the ship, how strong the hull is, if you can shoot fire with your arrows or javelins. So there's a lot of upgrades to the ship that will make it more powerful.
Well, mercenaries will come after you on sea, and it's a cool moment because they have awesome looking ships, they have unique figureheads, unique masts. When the player gets into combat with these guys, you could also board them. And so you can fight the mercenary like hand to hand on the deck of his ship, and hopefully you can even Sparta kick him off the deck. And this is like a way cooler moment to take out a mercenary in the game.
They can also customize the ship how they want in terms of who they want to recruit and the perks they will want to have on the ship, so to create a synergy between upgrades and perks to build the way they want to play.
You can recruit lieutenants from people in the world, be they individual weak archer, or if you want to find the best mercenary in the world, you can go knock that person out, pay them, convince them to join your crew.
I want you to be with me when I do.
They can be coming from missions, or you can also choose to find ones that have like good perks. They're going to give you more weapons, they're going to give you better armors, they're going to give also like crazy perks on your ship, like boosting speed and having more stamina. So they're changing almost every kind of part of your boat, in fact. So every one of them is very different.
And then when you buy a certain ability, you can call them into combat for you and either create a distraction or you can go join them in the fight.
Courageously, their destiny.
So the sea shanties, we have a couple at the beginning of the game that are available, and the more you progress in the game, you will unlock some sea shanties that will be about your Odyssey.
So you're born in Sparta, your player character is born in Sparta, but you move out of Sparta at an early age. So your combat style is not a true Spartan phalanx with the shield and the spear. You're fighting on your own. You're fighting for your money. You're fighting for your life all the time. So your combat is very active, very dynamic. So that meant that we wanted to give them these awesome abilities, these brand new 30+ amazing abilities that can all be upgraded. And then you're going to choose of those 30 abilities, where do you want them, what power do you want them to be, and how are you going to mix and match them in combat. So the base combat is based on Assassin's Creed Origins. It's the same sort of hitbox-based, distance, timing, but then we've added all the abilities. We focused on mobility. You're much more active and dynamic, dodging and parrying instead of sort of turtling with a shield.
Without the shield doesn't mean that you don't have the defensive option, actually. We have the parry that is fairly generous. Compared to a block, what it does is it's creating you an opportunity to take back on the offense.
If you want to sneak around, put the hood on, you can hide in the bushes and, lure people in and use some of the abilities that are stealth, you can do that a lot more than we've done since Syndicate.
Because of your DNA, because of the spear being an artifact of the first civilization, you combine those two things and you get just really, really impressive game-changing abilities for range, for shooting your bow, for the melee combat, and then for assassination as well. you have to build up adrenaline, energy for the spear to use that and unleash these abilities. So you have to use your base combat to build up the adrenaline, and then you unleash spear abilities.
So regardless of how you choose to map the abilities, which weapon you want to wield, you will always have a strong aesthetic that's true for a Greek hero warrior.
We have 2 weapon slots, the bow, you have 5 gear slots on your character. All of those can be upgraded at the blacksmith to your current level. You're the only character in ancient Greece that has a first civilization artifact, but there are mercenaries, there are very strong enemies with the Spartans and the Athenians that you're going to face that will challenge you constantly. And with the RPG progression, you're going to be facing against enemies that have a higher level than you. It's really going to be up to you how you play.
We were like, hey, choice is our thing. It's the philosophy that's flowing through all of the creation of the game, and that extends to being able to choose your character. It extends to Naval and how you're going to customize your ship, how you're going to play with your ship, who you're going to recruit for your ship. And then you can make a choice about the way you're going to approach quests. It had to be everywhere or nowhere at all in terms of how we were looking at making things.
So yes, the narrative will lead to different conclusions, but if you go off the beaten path, you will be surprised and you will have to make choices, sometimes dire, sometimes not. So yes, we want to give that autonomy to the player.
You can choose if you're going to help the Athenians dominate the Greek world or the Spartans, and you can change your choice in that playthrough as well.
We wanted to approach the combat in a way that gave the player more options, more customization, more ability to have choice in the way that they approach every combat situation. So that meant that we wanted to give them these awesome abilities, these brand new 30-plus amazing abilities that can all be upgraded.
If I want to shoot people with bow and arrows and specialize in that, you can do it. If you feel that it's more like melee fighting, you can do it as well. And if you feel that it's a little bit more stealth that I would like to do and get the drop on them, that's all available for you as well. So
Very poetic for someone covered in blood. I like it.
The romancing, we have a handful of characters that we can romance. They don't necessarily intertwine with the bigger picture, so they're much more regional content stories or a little bit more for fun.
When we set out to make the story in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, we knew that we were going to have multiple endings. Now, for us, it meant making a series of choices through a series of quests that would impact the ending, and not just be multiple endings based on one decision you make at the end, which sometimes other games fall prey to. Just because you're making choices doesn't mean that you're going to be cut off from half the game for making these choices. You're simply going to have your own unique experience.
Something that I really like about our game is the variation of tones.
I never thought Poseidon's anger would be too much for the mighty Cassandra's stomach.
You can be a little bit more of a traditional compassionate hero, but you can also call people on their bullshit in the game. Somebody's coming to you with a much more down-to-earth, easy quest like somebody stole my vase or something. So your character can say, dude, who do I look like? Like somebody's gonna get vases, I'm destroying armies, Well, when the player feels that he can say that, we try to put that in the word of the character as a choice as well. So dude, the fuck I look like, so that you can get that a little bit more in the game. You can't do it every time, but how do I feel about saying something here? We tried to mimic that and then have the characters react.
Cassandra, what do you think we should do?
Player choice is a motivator. It connects you with what you're doing. The game is talking to me and I need to respond to that. So the player choices are felt in dialogues, but they're also felt in the world. So in the play style that I'm going to choose in the game, the mix and matching of the abilities, who I want to interact with, Sparta, Athens, what do I want to do as a player? You decide and it's your choice to do it.
A tragedy. It starts with a dark prophecy from the Delphi Oracle, actually, who they are trying, you'll find, to manipulate the Greek world. Then you are part, I don't want to spoil the story for anyone, but you are part of this prophecy and you get cast out of Sparta. So we meet with our characters 17 years later and they receive a mysterious contract. And that contract will set them on the path to reunite with their family. And that's their personal, the character's personal journey, personal odyssey throughout Greece. But there are, because of this new dialogue system that we have created, we've got many, many stories to tell. There's more than 30 hours of dialogues in the game. And we'll get the chance to see an example on screen.
Oh, so we're playing as Cassandra.
Yes, absolutely. And
Wonderful.
I love playing with Cassandra. I love the energy the actress puts into the role. And one of the things that is interesting to me is that, you know, I've played with Alexios, I play with Cassandra, but I respond very differently to the voice acting from the characters, and it makes me role play in a very different way. So I don't play Cassandra the same way as I play Alexios, even though they have the same stories, the same abilities, and the same strength.
Interesting.
How does, now my understanding is this is actually the most ancient civilization depicted in Assassin's Creed history.
Yes.
Some of those get pretty ancient. So this one though, how does this sort of antiquity of classic Greece, how does that sort of impact the story, the mechanics? How does that infuse itself into the experience?
For us, it's the birth of Western civilization in a way. So you'll get the chance to meet incredible characters like Socrates, for example. You'll not only be able to discuss philosophy, but we've implemented systems in the game that allow us to monitor what the player is doing. And depending on what you do, obviously Socrates will question you. So he was very strong on questions, and he'll question you about the choices that you've made, the actions that you have taken, and try to make you as a player reflect on the choices that you have made. Have you made the right choices or the wrong choices? But we know that there is no right or wrong choices. So all those discussions with Socrates are, for me, a highlight of the game.
Well, that's fascinating, actually, Socrates is in the game because he is such a mysterious figure in actual history. So how much homework did you do to sort of capture who he really is? Because all we really know is reports from his students, including Plato and his student, Aristotle.
Absolutely. So those are our main sources, but we tried to make our own take on who Socrates was. So he was a very fun guy. We tried to made him as a very fun guy to be around, always joking, always not taking himself too seriously, but always trying to challenge you about who you are. And we feel that this is the essence of at least what was reported down to us over the years.
Now, Origins was a huge open world. Is this on the same scale as that, or are we going even bigger with this one?
Oh, we're going bigger.
We're going bigger.
About twice as big. So it is absolutely a huge game. Of course, all of that. No,
when are you guys going to stop? I mean, these things are getting so huge.
But you know, what's important is not just the size of the world, but it's actually what you do in that world. And you've got open world naval that is back, a bit like in Black Flag, which we know that our fans loved. But now you can jump on your ship, and it's completely seamless this time around. There is absolutely no loading. Whether you enter or exit a city, you can go on your boat.
Awesome.
We've got boarding that is back as well. We can, one of the cool things that you can do is that you can cleave a ship in half. If you've got enough speed, you'll just ram into it and the ship will break in two. People will fall off. You'll see sharks come in and eat them. So, and the other cool thing that you can do in a Spartan, at least at the, as you can see in this kind of iconic outfit that feels very Spartan.
As a PlayStation fan, yeah, it looks a little bit familiar to me. I'm not sure why.
I don't know why. I don't know why. But you'll get, you'll see we've got a nice surprise for our PlayStation fans right at the end of this this walkthrough.
Okay, can't wait. So tell me a little bit more about you know, what this means here for the larger mythos. Assassin's Creed has this incredible mythos. This is the earliest one yet. What do we learn about sort of the order?
Well, you'll learn a lot more. This is set 400 years before the birth of the Brotherhood. So, and for me, the Assassin's Creed brand, I've been working on it for the last 10 years, is so much more than just being an assassin. It is about visiting a pivotal moment in history.
Yeah.
And there's so much lore we can tell about that. We've got a lot of first civilization artifacts in the game, and we'll be able to kind of explore this origin of the war between order and chaos. And that's going to be a central theme in the game.
Now, will it connect to some of the other Assassin's Creed worlds or some of the other Assassin's Creed characters?
Absolutely, and especially through the present day, because we're continuing the story of Layla Hassan, who was introduced in Origins. And we very much listened to our fans who wanted a playable character back in what we call a conquest battle. So it's it's a huge technological endeavor that we embarked on 3 years ago to be able to have those large-scale battles that feature 150 versus 150 people. So you get to be the hero of the battlefield. What you see now on screen is the player using some abilities that are powered through the spear of Leonidas. So Leonidas of Sparta was your grandfather, passed down his spear onto you, and it's a first Civ artifact that you get right from the start of the game. And it allows you to have cool powers. And now the player is going to fight Diocles. So, and it's very, very physical in terms of combat. You can see he has blunt weapons, and he's a very tough enemy for the player to fight. And you're going to see Cassandra switch weapons very soon after Diocles taunts her like this. And this is definitely one of my favorite weapons when you're going to see her switch to it. Feels like a huge baseball bat. And you've got...
Is this an authentic weapon that was used in this time period?
I cannot tell, but I can tell you it's a very fun weapon to use.
That's all we need to know.
And you can bet that the game has so many things to offer. If you look closely, and I encourage our fans to look at
There's the sharks.
Wow, that looks
You see
great.
the sharks, you'll see a hint of present day, and something very, very cool at the end.
Okay.
For PlayStation fans.
I am staring at this real hard.
Look for the clues.
Look for the clues. Look for it. It's coming. It's coming. And, oh, what is it? What do you think you're going to see?